The modern pharmaceutical system is a rental agreement. You pay every month, rely on a shaky supply chain, and if that truck doesn't arrive, your health security is gone. But nature offers ownership. Today, we're replacing your pill cabinet with 10 medicinal weeds, the forgotten pharmacy that survived wars and requires zero maintenance. Number 10, white willow. If you have a headache today, you take an aspirin. But before 1899, you strip the bark of a willow tree. This is the chemical ancestor of the most consumed drug in history. The active compound is salicin. When you consume willow bark tea, your body converts it into salicylic acid, effectively aspirin. Hippocrates prescribed it around 400 BC to reduce fevers and ease the pain of childbirth. During the American Civil War, Confederate soldiers, cut off from northern supplies, turned to willow bark tea to manage the agony of amputations. Letters home describe chewing willow twigs during forced marches to dull the pain of blistered feet and infected injuries. When the blockade of Europe cut off drug supplies during the Napoleonic Wars, there was a desperate scramble to synthesize it. The Bayer Company cracked the code in 1897, and by 1899, aspirin hit the market. But the willow tree had been doing the same job for millennia. It's a coppice tree. Cut it down to a stump, and it explodes with new growth the next spring. You can harvest the same tree for 50 years, plant it near a pond, drainage ditch, or anywhere water pools. It acts as a rooting hormone. Stick a willow branch next to a cutting you're propagating, and the natural auxins trigger root growth. Find wild willows near streams and wetlands across North America and Europe. Look for narrow, lance-shaped leaves that shimmer silver in the wind. Any nursery-selling ornamental trees will have willow starts. Number 9, broadleaf plantain. You likely stepped on this plant today. It grows in driveways, footpaths, and compacted soil everywhere. Native Americans called this white man's footprint because it sprang up wherever European settlers walked. They quickly adopted its utility. European settlers deliberately carried the seeds. It was too valuable to leave behind. Plantain is nature's drawing salve. For a bee sting, spider bite, or deep splinter, chew up a leaf and apply it. Within minutes, the pain subsides. Within hours, it draws the infection or splinter to the surface. During the Battle of Gettysburg, Union medics ran out of bandages by the second day. They started packing wounds with fresh plantain leaves from the trampled fields. The survival rate for those treated with plantain was notably higher. The chemical occupant destroys bacteria and stops infection spread. Here's something miraculous. It works on brown recluse spider bites. Those bites cause necrotic wounds, flesh that dies and rots. Standard treatment involves surgical removal, but plantain poultices, changed every few hours, pull the venom out and prevent necrosis from spreading. I've seen this firsthand. 3 days of plantain poultices, and the blackening stopped, then reversed. It's indestructible. Drive a truck over it, and it bounces back. If you have a lawn, you already have a pharmacy. Find it in sidewalk cracks, parking lot edges, parks, sports fields. Look for broad, oval leaves with prominent parallel veins. In summer, it sends up a thin stalk with tiny seeds that look like a rat's tail. Number 8, stinging nettle. Most people hate this plant, but that defense mechanism saved thousands of lives during World War I. When the German army ran out of cotton for uniforms and bandages, they turned to nettle fibers. The fabric was tougher than cotton and didn't rot in the trenches. When food shortages hit, nettle soup became a primary source of vitamins A, C, iron, and protein. German soldiers called it the green gold because one pot could keep a man functional for days on minimal rations. On the Eastern Front, Russian soldiers in Siberia survived on nettle tea and porridge for months. The high iron content prevented anemia, which would have killed them faster than the cold. Letters describe boiling snow, steeping nettles, and drinking it 3 times a day. Many credited the plant with saving their lives. It's a metabolic reset for arthritis. The sting increases blood flow to stiff joints, a practice called urtication. In medieval Europe, monks deliberately whipped arthritic joints with fresh nettle stalks. The immediate pain was sharp, but the chronic ache faded within hours. Modern studies confirm nettle sting releases compounds that reduce joint inflammation. It's also the best antihistamine you can grow. Freeze-dried or tea-brewed nettle shuts down the histamine response better than many over-the-counter drugs. Take it daily 2 weeks before allergy season, and symptoms will be cut in half or disappear. To harvest, wear heavy gloves. Cut the top 6 inches before it flowers. That's peak. Nutrient content. Once dried or cooked, the sting is neutralized. Find wild nettle in moist, disturbed soils across North America and Europe, near streams and old farmland. Buy root divisions from herb suppliers, but be warned, once it's in forever. Number 7, Valerian. The pharmaceutical answer to stress is benzodiazepines, Xanax, Valium. The natural ancestor is valerian. During World War I, soldiers suffered from shell shock, today's PTSD. uncontrollable shaking, inability to sleep, total nervous collapse. Military doctors administered heavy doses of valerian root to calm men who had been shaking for days. It's a powerful sedative that physically depresses the central nervous system, slowing the heart rate and quieting the mind. British field hospitals gave soldiers valerian tincture before sending them back to the front. By 1917, the British government offered subsidies to farmers willing to cultivate valerian on an emergency basis. The root smells terrible, like dirty gym socks mixed with old cheese, but it contains valerianic acid, which interacts with GABA receptors in the brain, the exact mechanism used by modern anti-anxiety drugs. Your brain can't tell the difference between pharmaceutical Valium and properly prepared valerian root. The distinction: valerian is non-addictive with no withdrawal symptoms. Valerian works better the longer you take it. The first dose makes you drowsy. By the third day, it regulates your sleep cycle. By 2 weeks, people report the best sleep of their lives. Find wild valerian in damp meadows, stream banks, and woodland clearings across Europe and parts of North America. The plant has tall clusters of small white or pink flowers in early summer. Purchase roots or seeds from herb suppliers. Plant in partial shade with consistent moisture. Number 6. Mullein. You recognize this by its tall, yellow flowering spike. Romans dipped the dried stalks in tallow and used them as torches, but mullein is the lung repairer. Native Americans smoked the leaves to treat asthma and spasmodic coughing. Mullein smoke acts as an expectorant. It relaxes bronchial tubes and forces you to cough up drowning mucus. During the Dust Bowl of the 1930s, when families suffered from dust pneumonia, lungs filled with grit and mud, mullein tea was one of the only remedies that worked. Many survivors credited mullein with keeping them alive when doctors could only watch people suffocate. It doesn't just soothe a cough, it actively helps your lungs expel infection. The saponins break down mucus, and the mucilage coats irritated tissue. Together, they create an environment where lungs can heal. The flowers, infused in oil, are the gold standard for ear infections in children. Pick yellow flowers on a dry day, pack them in a jar, cover with olive oil, and let sit in the sun for 2 weeks. Strain the flowers, and you have earache medicine that works faster than anything a pediatrician prescribes. 3 drops, twice a day, and pain is gone by morning. It's a biennial. First year, a low rosette of soft, fuzzy leaves. Second year, a massive spike, sometimes 6 feet tall, drops thousands of seeds. It thrives in poor, rocky soil. Find it in abandoned lots, gravel pits, along highways, and any disturbed ground. The leaves are so soft, you can use them as natural toilet paper. Just use the smooth side, not the fuzzy side. To cultivate, scatter seeds in a rocky, sunny spot and forget it. Mullein needs neglect. Now, you can forage for these, but relying on foraging means relying on luck. You don't want to search for pain relief when you're already in pain. You want it in your backyard. If you want to skip years of searching and start your independence today, there's a resource I've vetted: the Medicinal Garden Kit. It contains thousands of seeds for 10 essential plants, including yarrow, valerian, and chamomile. It comes with a guide on processing them into tinctures and salves. This kit was created by Dr. Nicole Apillion and comes with a 365-day satisfaction guarantee, or your money back. I put the link in the description. Number 5, yarrow. The Latin name is Achillea millefolium, named after Achilles. Legend says he used it to stop the bleeding of soldiers during the Trojan War. Achilles was trained by Chiron, the greatest healer of the ancient world. The plant he taught Achilles, yarrow, became standard issue for Greek warriors. They carried bundles of dried yarrow specifically for battlefield wounds. In the Civil War and World War I, yarrow was standard issue for field medics. Soldiers' woundwort, or herbal militaris. During the Crimean War, Florence Nightingale documented its use in field hospitals. Soldiers treated with yarrow poultices had lower infection rates. Yarrow is a styptic. Crush the leaves and pack them into an open wound, and bleeding stops almost instantly. The plant contains a choline, which accelerates blood clotting. It's antimicrobial, so wounds packed with yarrow don't fester. Taken internally as hot tea, it's a diaphoretic. It induces sweating. To break high fevers. In medieval Europe, yarrow tea was the first treatment for plague victims. It broke fevers long enough for some immune systems to fight back. During the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918, rural families with access to yarrow fared better. The tea helped regulate temperature and prevented the deadly cytokine storms that killed so many young adults. Survival trick: yarrow tea, drunk cold, stops nosebleeds from the inside. It works within minutes by constricting blood vessels throughout mucous membranes. It's a drought-proof perennial that spreads. Once planted, it creates a dense mat that chokes out useless weeds. It requires zero irrigation once established. Find wild yarrow in meadows, pastures, and along roadsides across North America, Europe, and Asia. Look for feathery, fern-like leaves and flat-topped clusters of tiny white or pink flowers. Crushed leaves smell faintly of camphor. Plant seeds or root divisions in full sun with well-drained soil. Number 4, mugwort. This is controversial. In some places, it's considered a noxious weed. History calls it the mother of herbs. Romans planted it along roadsides because they believed it prevented travelers from getting tired. Roman soldiers put mugwort leaves in their sandals before marching, supposedly preventing blisters and cramping. They believed it worked, and they marched across an empire. Mugwort has a unique affinity for the nervous system and stomach. In the Middle Ages, it flavored beer before hops, not just for taste, but to prevent spoiling and aid digestion. Vikings brewed mugwort ale and considered it a sacred drink, believing it granted visions and connected them to ancestors. Its most famous use is for dreams. It contains mild psychoactive properties that vivify dreams. People who drink mugwort tea before bed report incredibly vivid, memorable dreams, clear, narrative dreams that feel more real than usual. Herbalists call it the dream herb, with the real survival. Application is moxibustion. In traditional Chinese medicine, the fluff from the leaf's underside is dried, rolled into sticks, and burned near the skin to drive heat into the body, stimulate circulation, and boost the immune system. During the Korean War, Chinese medics used moxibustion on frostbite victims to restore circulation to frozen limbs. The heat and medicinal compounds penetrated deep into tissue and saved fingers and toes from amputation. Be aware, this plant is powerful. It stimulates blood flow to the pelvic region and was historically used to regulate menstrual cycles. Don't use it if you're pregnant. Don't give it to children. Find it in disturbed soils along fences, roadsides, and riverbanks across North America and Europe. The leaves have silvery undersides. That's how you identify it. To cultivate, be careful. It spreads aggressively through rhizomes. Plant it in a contained bed. Number 3, self-heal. The name is not subtle. Botanically, Prunella vulgaris, it was proclaimed a holy herb sent to cure all ailments. Heal all is its common nickname. In medieval Europe, herbalists believed God designed plants to heal specific body parts, and the plant's shape was a clue. Self-heal's flowers look like little purple lips, so it was used for mouth and throat. They were right. Peasants chewed the leaves to soothe sore throats and mouth ulcers caused by poor nutrition. Monks cultivated it in monastery gardens for everything from cuts to internal inflammation. It's antiviral. Modern research shows it combats herpes simplex and shows promise against HIV spikes in lab settings. For survivalists, it's your go-to for sore throats and mouth ulcers. It tightens tissues. Gargle with self-heal tea and it stops bleeding gums, heals canker sores, and reduces throat swelling. During the Spanish flu, rural communities using self-heal tea as a daily gargle had fewer cases of secondary bacterial infections like strep throat, which killed many flu survivors. It's also edible. Eat the leaves raw in salad. They have a mild, slightly bitter taste. The flowers are edible too. Kids love pulling them off and sucking the nectar. It's survival food that heals you while you eat it. This plant thrives on abuse. Mow it, step on it, ignore it. It will come back. Find self-heal in lawns, meadows, parks, and forest edges across North America, Europe, and Asia. It has square stems, a telltale sign of the mint family, and small purple flowers that bloom from spring through fall. To cultivate, just let a patch grow in your yard. Number 2, chamomile. You might think this is just gentle bedtime tea. Do not underestimate it. Chamomile is one of the most anti-inflammatory plants you can grow. It's essentially herbal ibuprofen for the stomach. For digestive spasms, anxiety-induced nausea, or colic in children, this is the remedy. It contains bisabolol and matricin, which reduce inflammation at a cellular level. This is genuine healing. During the pioneer era, when dysentery could kill you through dehydration, chamomile was the first line of defense to calm the gut and allow water absorption. Settlers on the Oregon Trail carried chamomile seeds because it was essential medicine. Dysentery killed more pioneers than accidents, violence, or starvation combined. But chamomile is also a topical anti-inflammatory. During World War II, German medics used chamomile compresses on burns and wounds when they ran out of proper supplies. Flowers were boiled, the liquid cooled, and bandages soaked in the tea were applied to injured soldiers. There are documented cases of soldiers with third-degree burns recovering faster with chamomile compresses than with standard burn protocols. German chamomile is an annual, plant it once, and it self-seeds forever. Roman chamomile is a perennial that forms a low, creeping mat. Both are effective, but German chamomile has higher concentrations of medicinal compounds. Plant a patch this year, and next year, you'll have a carpet of white and yellow flowers. Harvesting is tedious. You pick flower heads one by one, but the labor is worth it. Dried chamomile stores for years without losing potency. Find wild chamomile in disturbed soils, old gardens, and along roadsides. To cultivate, buy seeds from any herb supplier. Scatter them in a sunny spot with decent drainage. German chamomile grows about 2 feet tall, flowers in late spring, and dies back by summer, but not before dropping thousands of seeds. Number 1. Wild lettuce. People call this opium lettuce. Let me tell you a story about why I respect this plant. Years ago, I was working on a remote property, clearing timber. I took a bad fall, wrenched my back, couldn't stand up straight. I was miles from town. The roads were iced over. I had no painkillers. The pain was sharp, keeping me awake, locking up my muscles so I couldn't rest to heal. I remembered seeing Lactuca virosa growing along the fence line, tall, spiky, looked like a dandelion that went to the gym and got angry. I hobbled out, found the stalks, and scored them. White, milky sap bled out. That sap contains lactucarium. It's not an opiate, contains no opium, but acts on the central nervous system similarly to morphine. The ancient Egyptians called it lettuce opium and used it in religious ceremonies and to treat the sick. The Greek physician Dioscorides prescribed it in the 1st century AD for insomnia, pain, and restlessness. During the American Civil War, when morphine supplies ran critically low, Confederate doctors turned to wild lettuce. They harvested the sap, dried it into a dark resin, and administered it to wounded soldiers. It wasn't as strong as morphine, but it let a man sleep through the night after an amputation. The soldiers called it poor man's opium. Here's the critical difference. Wild lettuce is non-addictive, no physical dependency, no withdrawal. You can use it for a week, stop, and feel nothing. That makes it one of the safest pain relievers in existence. It won't kill your pain completely, but it takes the edge off enough that you can function. The government monitors this plant. They don't ban it, but they watch it. In some states, there have been attempts to classify it as a controlled substance. Those attempts have failed, but the fact that they tried tells you everything about how effective this plant is. Find wild lettuce growing along roadsides, in abandoned fields, and waste areas across North America and Europe. It grows 3 to 6 feet tall with prickly leaves running up the stem. In late summer, it produces small yellow flowers. Harvest the sap when the plant is flowering. That's when lactucarium concentrations are highest. Score the stem. With a knife, let the white sap bleed out, collect it on foil or glass. Let it dry into a resin. A piece about the size of a rice grain is enough for most people. If you can't find it wild, buy seeds online and plant it in a sunny spot with decent drainage. It's technically a biennial, but self-seeds so aggressively that once you have it, you'll never lose it. The pharmaceutical industry relies on you being a consumer. A garden relies on you being a producer. These 10 plants are not just weeds, they're infrastructure, they're knowledge, they're independence. You plant them once, you wait, and then they serve you for the rest of your life. You're not planting for next season, you're planting for your children and grandchildren. You're planting for the version of the future where the trucks stop running, the pharmacies close. And the only people who survive are the ones who remembered that medicine doesn't come from a factory, it comes from the ground. That's it for today. Hope you learned something new, and I will see you in the next one.